Hi, welcome to Tech Talk Live. I'm Amy Masters, and today we have a very special guest. I feel very honored and privileged to be able to introduce you guys with Jojo Wickens. Hi, Jojo.
Hello.
Oh, let me pull us up here. I have to tell you guys, I've been a fan of Jo's work for a very long time. I follow her on her social medias. I got to meet you in January at the Light Elegance reunion, and I got to eat meals with you. And for 3 days, we got to kind of hang out and have fun. And I even got to be a part of one of your workshops that you were hosting there. And I can tell you, your teaching style, your calmness, who you are behind the camera, and who you are in person is very genuine. And I just loved being able to get to meet you in person. I was a little bit of a as they say, a little fan crazed.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And I can say that your teaching style is very, um, it's mellow, it's sweet, it's to the point. You love to help, and I love that teaching style. I think I might have a similar teaching style. At least people tell me that I do. And so when I got to see you and the way you were teaching, I was like, God, I hope I can teach like her. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I've teaching for me was what I always wanted to do, and
Mhm.
it's it doesn't always come easy to everybody, but I knew that I wanted to do it from quite a young age, and I was always very conscious of um, how I learn from other people and their teaching styles, and then sort of taking that into my education as well. Because the way that you teach can make such a difference between someone really grasping what you're trying to put
Yeah.
across. So yeah, that's really nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, Jojo, I like to go all the way back in time, and I know that you've been doing this for 14 years, but what inspired you prior to then to decide that this was a career you wanted to do?
Well, I had always been kind of obsessed with nail polish, and I can remember the first nail polishes that I got. I think it was probably for like a birthday or Christmas, and it was a like an apple green color and a baby blue. And which is funny because my favorite colors on nails are still green and blue. And I'm not sure how old I was. I know my mum and dad said I wasn't allowed any kind of proper nail polish until I was a certain age. We used to have like, I don't know whether they had it there with like the peel off nail polish
Yeah.
when we were kids. So I wasn't allowed proper nail polish until I would guess maybe I was 9 or 10. And once I got the first ones, that was it. Every birthday, every Christmas, that was all I wanted was more nail polish, nail art, foils, all through school. I was lucky I went to a school where we didn't have restrictions on what we could wear on our nails. So I used to go with all sorts of things on my nails. And it was actually my friend who was doing a work placement in a hairdresser's. We were kind of coming to the end of our school years and picking whether we were going to go to college or go to work placements. And she was doing one in a hairdresser's. And I was going to be going on from school into like the further years, but doing more kind of art, graphic design, that kind of stuff. But not really knowing what I wanted to do with any of it, just picking things that I knew that I enjoyed. And my friend that was doing this work placement said to me, "Well, why don't you do nails?" And it was never something that I'd ever even thought of. I didn't think of it as a job, and that was it really. The Something clicked in my mind, and that was it. I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I was really lucky. I managed to get a place literally the day before I was supposed to start my courses with my art and graphic design and things. I got my place on my beauty course. My local college didn't do nails separately, so I had to do the full beauty therapy to be able to do the nails. Um, so that it just all kind of worked out at the last minute, and that was it really. I did the whole beauty. I enjoyed it, but I knew that I wanted to do nails. That was where my passion lied.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting, even when I went to school, so it was a way long timer than that. There was not a nail only program, and I was just so fortunate that my aunt was an instructor at the school. My cousins and stuff, I had grown up in California, and there was nail only programs. So during that time, they allowed it as a nail only program, but I had to sit during the theory part of the nails through the cosmetologist. It was very limited of what they learned.
Yeah.
There was no product knowledge at all. It was manicures, pedicures, polishing, and all that. So you've been part of this innovation since you very first started of
Yeah.
like separating out the nail side of it. Yeah. And so what was the first thing that you remember doing after school? Like, did you go into a salon and like, I got this and I can build up this, or did you start a home salon of your own?
I was awful. I was a terrible tech when I finished school. I mean, we did acrylic, but it was the teaching. I hate to say it, the teaching was so bad. And really, they only teach you what you need to be able to pass the exams.
Yeah.
So I had very little confidence in myself when I finished. I was really lucky. I found a salon local to me that took me on and basically spent a lot of time with me training. And my second salon that I worked at also did the same thing. So I was really lucky that in the first 2 to 3 years of being in the industry that I worked with people that spent a lot of time with me and helped me to build my skills. And honestly, without them, I don't know if I would have carried on because I just found it so hard. So I mean, I see a lot of people struggling when they first start nails. They do a course and they get frustrated because they can't do what they want to do straight away. But I would just say persevere, because you're very lucky if it comes easily to you, and it didn't come easily to me. So I was really lucky that I found those places when I first qualified.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, yesterday we started our very first, we're going to do a monthly coffee talk, and our topic was commission versus booth rent. And that's one of the things that we kind of brought up, is that you need to interview the salon that you're going to work at. Are they going to work with you? Are they going to help you? Are they going
Yeah,
to, add you into trainings and stuff like that? So you were very fortunate to find places that wanted to invest in you as well and invest the time. It's so important and valuable.
it is. And I don't think that is as easy to come by now as what it was then, because I
Yeah.
think a lot of the colleges and the courses promote a self-employed, you can work for yourself, you can do it from home, which is great. It fits in with people's lifestyles, but sometimes it's not the best way when you've just qualified and you need that help to build the
Yeah.
skills when you first get that qualification.
Yeah. So when you first started, did you immediately become a gel tech, or were you doing a variety of everything, or?
Yeah, so it's quite funny because when I left, the first salon I went to was purely gel, which was I mean, it's quite rare now, let alone back then. There wasn't really anywhere that did hard gel.
Yeah.
So I did hard gel to begin with. And then the second salon I went into focused mainly on acrylic. So I then kind of did more of that. And then from there, I tended to do a lot more acrylic. It was just more popular in my area. And I would just do the odd gel set. And then it was only really about 4 years ago that I started suffering with allergic reactions that I had to cut out acrylic completely. So I went back to using purely hard gel. And I think those initial years where I purely used gel really helped me then, because I was able to kind of pull those skills back and focus more on the hard gel. So that was really useful. But I love hard gel now, and even if you gave me acrylic and said that I could use it, I wouldn't use it. I love
Yeah.
hard gel. So
Yeah. And I find that when you find your niche and you find your specialty, one, you're going to save more money when you're just investing in one product line and not trying to hold all of them. But then the clients start trusting you. They don't care what product they use, they care about the end result. Now, unless they're allergic, like in your case, being allergic, obviously you're going to go find the one that specializes in, what you can wear, and quit avoiding some of those
yeah,
reactions. Yeah, that's awful. So
yeah, it's not
I
easy.
I want to brag on you a lot. like a whole lot. And I know throughout your career you've had many awards and accomplishments, but seriously, the last couple years you are at the top. And so I want to know how you got there. So you are currently a finalist in the professional nail professional of the year. And that was done from Professional Beauty Awards. You were the first Grand Master with CND in your country, it said even. And
In
then
my county,
pardon?
in my county, so it's like your state.
Oh, okay. Yes, but still, I mean, these are huge honors with the top, companies and stuff. Gel Polish Stylist of the Year, Gel Tech from Scratch of the Year. You have so many things that you've strived for. What started you in the competition side of it?
For me, it was the challenge. I felt like I'd done a lot of training. I love going to training, but when you get to a certain point and you've done it for a certain number of years, and especially for me with my allergic reactions, there are a lot of courses that I'd love to go on, but I just simply can't because I can't use the products that are required for the class. So I needed something new to challenge me. And that was where the competing really came in. And I was a educator for crystal nails for a couple of years. That was just before my allergies started. And they really pushed me to do my first competition, which was Scratch Star's Gel Polish Stylist of the Year in 2015. And then the allergies started, so that kind of set me back a little bit. And then once I'd kind of sussed out what I could use and what I was safe with, my focus really switched back to competing. Sometimes I think I'm a bit mad for putting myself in because I get so stressed and so like nervous about it. But the feeling afterwards, once you've finished it, it's just a really, really good challenge. And I would urge anybody to try competing at least once because it just really pushes your skills and into another level.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, my favorite part is always the judges sheet because they're being very honest. And
Yeah,
these are your judges are pristine people that know what they're talking about. And what's even greater is a lot of people don't realize is get with that judge and they will show you. They want you
yeah,
to be successful. They will go to the next step and they will show you how to, correct whatever they saw the flaw. And it's amazing that we think, oh, I did this exactly the way that they did. Sometimes it's not always that way. There's
yeah,
one little trick sometimes. It's the angle of the brush. It's, the way you're holding the nail. You think that it looks good, but it's this way, and the judge is going to hold it this way. It
yeah.
changes the look completely. And so I agree with you. It's very nerving, but it's
Very.
still worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you get the award at the end or some sort of a placement, I mean, that has to, have even the greatest feeling of like, I did this. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And even just so, like for instance, with Scratch Awards, even to be picked as a final five, or like the Professional Beauty Awards, to be picked as a final five is such an achievement to get to that stage and be able to compete and get that feedback from the judges is just you can't really put a price on that. So even if you don't win, you still come away with that achievement of knowing that you're in that top
Yeah.
level in the country. So it's a really,
Yeah.
really amazing achievement.
And you know what? It takes time. Like I've competed many times, and let me tell you guys, I'm not placed. And I realize the anxiety that comes with that is part of my
Mm,
problem. I can do it at home. I can practice and practice. I remember talking with Katie Barnes one time, and it takes an entire year, and she practices almost daily on the exact same nail application every
yeah.
single consistency. I'm talking practice. Now, I've never
Mm,
been that dedicated, but I can tell you that even if you've not placed, it doesn't matter. Did you put the time in? Did you know your products? Have you reached out and asked for mentors and created a team around you? And then compete again, and you're going to realize that you did so much more. So,
yeah.
did you have a team that helped you?
So when I first started, as I said, I was with Crystal Nails when I first competed. They helped me a lot because there were several of them who had competed in the Scratch Stars before, so they could kind of give me a bit of a heads up on what the
Mhm.
process was like, because there's also an interview in with that process as well. So it's not just your practical work, they also
Oh,
interview you as well. So that kind of set me up quite well for that. I kind of knew what I was going into, so to speak. The competitions, like the championships with the actual proper pink and white competition style nails and the nail masters categories, honestly, because of the training that I can't attend because of my allergies, I kind of figured a lot of it out for myself. I did
mhm.
a competition training day years ago with Gemma Lambert, so I kind of had that in the back of my mind from doing that way back. And the rest of it, I kind of pieced things together that I knew how to do certain shapes, and if the form was in that angle, you got that certain shape. And so I kind of figured a lot of it out for myself. And then it was really getting the feedback that I then was able to improve then. And I also did a one-to-one training with a tech called Virag Timar. She's won countless
Yeah.
competitions here. She now judges with, alongside Katie Barnes a lot of the
Mhm.
time. So and the amount I learned from her in a day was just unbelievable, really.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think you have to kind of figure stuff out for yourself, but also pick tips up from different people. And if you can go to training with different techs as well, I find that really helps, because you pick up things from different people and kind of find your own style as well by picking things out that different people have shown you.
Yes, absolutely. And I've heard that from multiple times of people who've been multiple winners. They're like, there's always somebody that they've always kind of heard from or listened to, and whether it was just off the judges' sheets and, networking that way or on Facebook or, any of these social
Yes.
medias as well. Yeah. Well, congratulations on your recent awards that you have. I know that somewhere in your career you decided that you wanted to be an educator yourself and to be able to mentor others. How did you get into that level of the education?
So my second job, I worked for a company called Nails Inc. I don't know if they're big in America, but they're a known brand in the UK. Uh,
Right.
and they have nail bars within department stores throughout the UK. And I worked for one of their nail bars in Bristol, and then I also was a supervisor when they opened a branch nearer me where I live now, down in Devon. And my initial job with them, I was really lucky because we had the regional trainer based within our store. So I basically got one-to-one training whenever we had time to have it. And the way that she helped me and helped me to understand nails and the structure and how we apply really inspired me. And I knew from then that I wanted to be able to one day do that for somebody else. Um, for me, it was a big confidence thing. I know a lot of people go into training a lot sooner within their career, but I really wanted to make sure that I knew exactly what I was doing and I felt confident in my techniques before I started teaching other people.
Yeah.
Um, so I discovered crystal nails, where are we now? Probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and became an educator for them. They invited me to their educator training. That was invaluable because they teach you how to teach. So they would be stood there while we're kind of doing our demonstrations, and they would always say, for everything that you do, every step that you take, always think how, why, where, when. And you have to answer all of those questions for every step.
Mhm.
And I always have that in the back of my mind now. Whenever I'm teaching, I'm always thinking those points. How
Yeah.
do I explain it? When am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Where am I doing it? So that really put me at a good foundation for my teaching. And then the allergies started, so I had to stop using crystal nails. And then over the next year or two, I discovered Light Elegance, fell in love with the products, the brand, and was lucky enough to be asked if I would be interested to be an educator for the UK. jumped at the opportunity, obviously, because I love it so much, and it's just kind of gone from there. Really, I've built up a really good relationship with Jim and Leslie, and it's going from strength to strength, really. So I'm really excited to see where it all goes from here, because the training is kind of changing in the UK now that we've got Sweet Squared as the distributor.
Mhm.
But it's really exciting. It's going to be a good future, I think.
Yeah, yeah. This year in the UK for Light Elegance has made some big changes, like you said, with the distributors and stuff. But it sounds like it's going to be so powerful, and getting to meet some of the UK distributors. It's always interesting that around the world it's just these little things that are a little bit different. Even in the United States, from state to state, some you need licensing, some you don't. Some you can only teach if you are an educator through a company or you've done your instructor's course. And
Yeah,
so it's so different with every step of the way. And so it's kind of cool that you're gonna, be into the innovation part again in your career, where something's starting a little bit from the ground up and building. And so how exciting.
yeah, it is really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what the year brings.
Yeah. So I don't want to ignore some of the questions. And I know that since before we change topic again, I want to go back through. So I apologize. Um, One of the things on here that Sue says is, I missed the beginning, but I'm so excited that you said you have allergies. So probably not excited that you have them, but that you mentioned that she can relate. She says, I have issues with acrylic and the certain smells. My husband shakes his head as I am almost passing out from the particular product. I still love the industry. Sue, you need to find the products that can work for you. And I've
Yeah,
worked with you a lot, so I know that she does try different products. That would have to be very difficult to love what you're doing and then find that you have these allergies. Um, so sometimes you have to go to the doctor. Sometimes you can figure it out on your own. Like, every time I touch this, I react. And so that would be very difficult. So I'm glad that you were able to find what works best for you. And Sue, I hope you can find what works best for you, because
yeah.
that's not good to almost be passing
No,
out at work.
no, that is not good.
Teresa actually responded that she has switched over mainly to gel, and it sounds like for the same, reasons. Um, Actually, she says that that is all that I can use, but I never know what gel polish smells, glues, or various things will drop her. And so, did you have to go to a doctor to find out your allergies, or did you kind of recognize them on your own?
So I was told by my doctor that they don't test for nail products because they can't possibly test for all of the chemicals that could potentially be in professional nail products. Now, I know a lot of people now are getting tested,
Mhm.
whether that's just an area thing, whether my area doesn't do those tests, or whether it's because it's 3 or 4 years later, maybe the testing has progressed. But um, for me, I was basically told that I needed to try and figure it out for myself, which was quite hard. I knew acrylic. I couldn't use the liquid, just reacted every time. But I also knew that I reacted to a lot of gel products. So I kind of had to do it by a process of elimination. I knew I knew I could use CND hard gel. They didn't have a great offering in the sense of many colours or anything, but I knew I could use their kind of basic gel, and I knew I didn't react. And I knew there were certain brands that I did react to. So
Mhm.
I just kind of spent a lot of time comparing the lists of the ingredients and just trying to kind of work it out for myself. And I could use Breezer and it was fine, but I couldn't do the things that I used to be able to do. They didn't have Cover Pink. They didn't have all the glitters and the colours and everything. And I kind of lost my passion for it a little bit, and did consider what I wanted to do going forward, whether I wanted to keep on doing nails or not. And then I found Light Elegance. Someone suggested it to me. I didn't even know that they were good for people with allergies. Now I know that very well. They produce all their products. They don't put anything in there that is known to cause any kind of sensitivity. And now I will not use anything else because I know that anything that they give me, I know that I can use, and I know that they always keep that safety in mind. So It was quite hard for me to figure it out, but now I've got something that I know I can use. It's just really hard finding that product that's right for you.
Correct. Yeah. So in the States, I've had to do a lot of allergy testing and I've talked about my medical stuff. And I took my products with me to this big, it's the Mayo Clinic. It's where they can experiment. The testing that they can do at the Mayo Clinic is far superior what they can do anywhere else. So I've had to go there twice because I have a unique case. And I've taken the products with me because I wanted to make sure it wasn't something work related. And they went through the ingredients and they're like, we just don't see anything in here. Some of it we can't test for. So every time you use it, if you're symptomatic, don't use it. It was interesting that over the next couple of years, trying to focus in, what is it that I'm using? We found out it wasn't the products at all. It was the alcohol. I
Oh,
am
really?
sensitive to the smell, inhalation of it, and the touch
Yeah,
of the alcohol, which is our prep, and the hand
yeah.
sanitation. And then, so realizing and knowing that, it was like, wow, since then, what a game changer. So sometimes it's not the products, it's what you're
No,
using
it
in
can just be
addition
something
to.
as simple as that.
Yes. And so I try to tell people, and they're like, I'm allergic to this. Narrow it down because sometimes you're not. Or like what you mentioned earlier, sometimes what's in the monomers of the acrylics is also in the gels, and people think they're totally different. They're kind of
Mm,
not. Some of those ingredients are the same. So
yeah.
work with the different companies, get trial kits and all of that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Deb says, I became too allergic within the first 3 years of being in the business. I switched to Light Elegance gel and had absolutely no issues from that point forward. It was more of the monomer I became allergic to. I was overexposed, and because of the salon, I had gotten so busy. Yeah, so finding out exactly what it is and being able to find what works for you is yeah, the blessing there. Perfect. Let's see. And there's just lots of thank yous and love for you, Joe. So I'm not sure if you're able to go through and
I can't see
um,
them on my phone. I don't know why.
yeah. And so Light Elegant Sweden is being, represented with Lisa and I for Lackander. She has joined us in a lot of that and just lots of love for you. So I want to talk about personal a little bit. Obviously, I
Okay.
got to hang out with you for a few days and I saw that your eating is very strict. But I look at you and you're so healthy and you're absolutely beautiful and you glow. And it was like, gosh, whatever she's doing, we want to be a part of that. And so before I do any tech talks, I also do a Google just to see what comes up. And actually, one of the first things that came up is your Twitter. And in your Twitter, you do a lot of blogging, but you talk about your vegan lifestyle and getting to know you. I had learned that you were vegan, and we talked about that a little bit. And so we have to remember that putting ourselves first and our priority is not always nails, it's our health and
Yeah.
it's us. Nails is our fun. And so, when did you do a lifestyle change in your personal life where you kind of took control of the health?
So I was pescatarian initially. That would have been, so I've been vegan now for just over 3 years. And I went pescatarian, I think, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 years before that. So I cut out all the meat basically because I love animals
Yeah.
for no other reason. And so I cut out the meat. I still ate fish, and then towards the end of that, I cut the fish out as well. And then I watched a documentary, which I'm a bit obsessed with documentaries. I love documentaries, and this one was called, I think it's called Vegucated, and I think it was on Netflix at the time. Gotta love a good Netflix documentary, and it basically followed a group of people that went vegan for, I can't remember how long it was, and basically showed what dairy actually was. And I never really thought about how dairy is produced. I never thought about the fact that a cow had to be pregnant to produce milk. And now that I say that, it seems crazy because it just seems so obvious to me. But I watched that, and for the same reasons that I was vegetarian, I decided that I couldn't really eat dairy either. And that was it. From then, I just decided that I didn't want to eat dairy or eggs, and that was that. I made the decision, and I didn't know whether I would do it forever or whether it would just be something that I'd do for a couple of months and then decide to go back. But the more I did it, the better I felt, and so I didn't ever want to go back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been just over 3 years now. It's definitely getting easier. It wasn't very easy when I first went vegan, especially if you're trying to eat out places. But it's just kind of, it's almost become quite trendy over the last year or two. It's become a bit of a trend. So um, it's helpful to me because it means there's more options for us when we go out for meals and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we went to, a reunion where the food was provided for us. And so that was one of the things that I noticed is that here, we're loading our plates with a variety of stuff. And you look over and she has a lot of this, like one item. And so, it just kind of makes you ask, like, what's going on? But I respect that as well because, taking control of, um, gosh, your whole life from your health to your career and everything and balancing all of that is very difficult. And it's easy to just go grab something. It's harder
It is.
to say, nope, I'm going to specialize and I'm going to do this. And you've done that with every aspect of your life and you're in control of that. And you know what you're taking and you know what products you're using in the salon and all of that. And it all comes full circle. And I think it's
Yeah.
important for us to realize that some of the allergies we have might not be nail related. You might be reacting from what you had for breakfast 2 or 3 hours later while you're at work and you think it's something at work. And so knowing what is going in and everything. So the research that you've done in every aspect of your life is very inspiring. And I just thank you for sharing that because I think people need to know that and hear that as well.
It's important to have something in your personal life and not just have work. And for me, I mean, I loved cooking and I loved food anyway before I went vegan, but since taking on the vegan diet, I have kind of really enjoyed discovering food and discovering new ways to cook things. And actually, it's really relaxing for me. I love it when I go home at the end of the day. I'm straight in the kitchen, which for most people is probably the idea of a nightmare. But for me, it really helps me to unwind from the day and relax
Yeah.
into the evening. So I really enjoy it.
I do too. I can tell you that cooking is probably my next favorite. Like if I could blog and video about how to do recipes, which would
Yeah.
be nothing like what you see from anybody else, I do. I love that part of it. Yeah. So when I Googled you, I knew that you had a YouTube. I knew that you're on Facebook, Instagram and all of that. But you're also Twitter, you're blogging, you're doing videos, you have a salon, you do all of that. Do you have any tips and tricks of how to balance all of that? Or do you just really focus on one and just naturally put little things out there for everything else?
Um, it's very hard. It is a bit of a juggling act, and if I'm honest, I don't see. I spend a lot of time on my own when I'm not at work. I'm a bit of a what's the word? Not a lone ranger, but I do like my own company. I
Yeah.
love spending time with other people, but I also like my downtime where I can chill and just focus on things.
Yeah.
So it's really, I spend a lot of my evenings, I spend a lot of my days off doing the whole social media thing, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Social media, I use scheduling, so that was life changing. I think I've used that for about 18 months now. That means that I can do all my scheduling for the week on my day off. If it's on a Monday, do it on a Monday for the week. And then I don't have to think about social media for the rest of the week. So then I can focus on my day-to-day work with my clients. I can focus on the girls in the salon. So that's really helped me. And lists, just lists. I've got lists on my phone. I've got lists in my bullet journal. My bullet journal also really help me. Um, it can be, yay,
It's
it can
constant.
be, I find the most stressful thing is if it's all in your head and you don't really know where to start. So to get it all written down into a list and then work through it methodically really helps me. So lists, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I do a lot of scheduled posts. Daily we recognize somebody in our group, and I did it for 2018, and Kim has taken on the task for 2019. And thank goodness that we can sit down like on a Sunday afternoon and spend a few hours, scheduling these posts and all of that. And you guys know it's a free feature through Facebook that you can do. So advertising is, very important. And they say that we need to post a few times a day. Well, it's hard for us to, every
It's
few hours sit
really
down and do that. And so being able to schedule the posts was very, very nice. I know, I think Karen, she's done a lot of lives on how to manage your time and schedule things out. And I forget the name of the app that she uses, and she just pays a couple dollars a month for it, but it schedules the post for all of her social medias. So it's not
yeah.
even just Facebook. And wow. So I'm not that dedicated yet. I'm still the one that's struggling trying to post on everything, but I've narrowed it down where I only post on Instagram, Facebook, and like my nail art gallery. Every now and then I'll get on Pinterest. And so I've quit trying to feed to all of them and save that time. So yeah, what's your
Yeah,
favorite? Oh, go
I
ahead.
would never be able to post across all the platforms if I didn't use my scheduling. It just would never happen.
Yeah, exactly. What's your favorite social media? Like, which one do you find that you gravitate to?
Instagram, definitely. I
Yeah.
spend way too much time on Instagram.
I find that it's easy. And so last year I was with Katie Barnes and Layla Monroy, and I was watching Katie. We were just sitting down to eat for dinner and just waiting for the food. And she's going through and she's just double clicking on the pictures. And I'm like, what is she doing? And that's the liking it. I was like, oh, you can do that. I mean, I
The
had no
thing
clue.
with
I was still like
Instagram,
hitting the heart and doing all that.
yeah.
She's double clicking. She's getting it done. And so it was kind of fun to sit and watch her.
Thing with Instagram I find is that it's too much of a time waster because you can just spend so long on it because once I've kind of scrolled through the feed for a bit and I've kind of seen most of what I want to see, then you start on the stories and then I can spend like half an hour just watching people's stories, but I love it.
I do too. And it's addicting. I have disconnect times. And so even my friends know. So my phone is lit up because, I do international trainings and stuff like that. So my phone's lit up even at night. I disconnect completely. My phone goes into a different area and I spend that family time or alone time. I'm like you. I don't mind being alone. I enjoy my time with my friends and stuff like that. But when I'm home, it's like you're at my haven. It's quiet and I can get lost on social media. My favorite to go to is still Pinterest. And
Is
I
it?
still love to craft, I love to cook, and I love to create all the boards. And yeah, it's still my favorite go-to is Pinterest. So when you have a person that says, Jojo, I want you to do whatever you want on my nails, what's your go-to for inspiration?
Ooh, that's a good question. I normally get them to pick a color or at least tell me what they don't want, and
Yeah,
that helps me.
yeah,
um, if they say no, I've got no idea, there's nothing I don't want, that can be a little bit tricky. And generally, then I just pick something that's new that I want to use. But generally, I get them to choose a color. And then my customers, I've known them for a long time. A lot of them have come to me for 4, 5, 6 years. I've got a few that have come more recently within the last couple of years, but most of them have been coming for a long time. So I know them well and I know what they like. So
mhm,
that's always helpful. And then sometimes I'll throw in a little bit of something different just to kind of introduce them to something that they haven't tried before. But all my customers love glitter. They all love crystals. So anything that's color or and sparkly is fine by them, and that's fine by me.
yeah.
So again, Instagram, I spend a lot of time on there. So I do sometimes, if I'm feeling a little bit stuck for ideas, I have a scroll through the photos that I've liked more recently. And then nail art wise, actually going over to Pinterest, I save a lot of art on Pinterest, whether it's art, so kind of pictures, or whether it's tattoos, things like that. And if I want to do nail art and I'm kind of stuck of an idea, then I'll go on there and kind of scroll through the art and take inspiration from art rather than actual nails, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Absolutely. Yep, and so I have boards that I have saved and it's all like from artists, just
Yeah.
what they've done. And sometimes you can use their techniques, like so aquarelle, however you say that, which is also like watercolor. I'll go to actual watercolor paintings and look at
Yeah.
their techniques and then go, okay, that makes a little bit more sense and watch their tutorials and stuff. Yeah, absolutely love it. I find that so every morning, I know this is like might be weird to people. Every morning I drink out a different coffee cup. And that coffee cup, for some reason, if whatever the client's wearing, doesn't trigger what they want, or I have lots of new product all the time, so it's always hard to like pick which one I want to play with. I always go to the coffee cup. And so today, if a client was coming in, they might get like this little flower, or they might get, some little character, or they're going to get blues, greens. And so every day it's always different. And my clients bring me coffee cups all the time. So I have quite the plethora of collection. And so I got one the other day that says, enjoy the little things. And it's done in rose gold. But the background of it is every additive that you can think of. Like when you start taking art and putting it into the nail side of it, it's like, oh, I can do that with additives, or I can do that with whatever it might be. And so it's kind of fun. So my coffee cup, my clients know when they walk in and they see like the bright red coffee cup, they're like, oh gosh, we're getting red today. I'm like, possibly, yes.
That's really cool. I like that.
So fun. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions while we have Jojo with us? Um, let's see. Just lots of hellos and lots of love as well. Oh, Sue says, I'm glad that I am not the only one that didn't know about double tapping means like, yeah, the things that we learn that can make our day a little bit easy and fun. Like it's almost like you're playing a
Yeah.
video game, like scroll,
Yeah.
scroll. Rebecca says, social is crazy. We have to side aside sometimes. I'm thinking that set aside sometimes for your family or become very addictive. And you're right, they've actually proven the social media is just as addictive as any drug. Your brain wants it. And we create this need for that. And it's hard to disconnect because it's always changing. It's always active. It's like I said, maybe like a video game.
It's really hard. And I used to be really good, and at 9 p.m. I would set my phone onto airplane mode so that no notifications could come through and I wasn't tempted. That's kind of slid a little bit as of late. I'm not quite so good at that at the minute, but I definitely think that helps, especially when you're sitting down and you want that kind of family time or time with friends. Just kind of setting the phone aside for a minute and letting yourself really relax and just switch off from everything. You do need that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've learned that there's time that I can use that I didn't know I had. For instance, when I put my hair and my makeup and get myself ready in the morning, that's the perfect time to watch like a tech talk because you don't have to watch us. We're not really
Yeah.
demoing anything. It's more like a podcast would be. And so I can listen to, my favorite inspiration things, YouTube's music, whatever, and I can set it to the side and listen to it and take in that knowledge or whatever. And then I don't feel guilty later on sitting down for an hour to watch a tech talk. I can listen to it. Yeah. So
I
utilize
do that a lot as
it.
well.
It's so fun. So Jojo, what's next for you? I mean, we see that you're at the peak and the top of a career, but there's always something a little bit more that it seems like we want to reach for. Obviously, changing distributorship is going to change. Maybe you're going to do more shows with education and all of that. But what's next? What do you want to do?
Well, I definitely the training's going to be really kicking off, and I would like to be able to travel a bit more as well with teaching. Where I live in quite a small town, and so there are only so many people. So I'm keen to just kind of teach as much as possible. That's kind of my own personal goal, is to really focus on the teaching and doing more of that. I'm really excited to be able to do more of like the trade shows and things now that we've got the new distribution. And then also I've got the salon as well with the girls, so I also have to spend time on that as well, and helping them to grow, and helping them to develop their skills as well. So it's kind of a two-pronged thing, but yeah, we'll see what the future holds. But I'm a bit of a workaholic. I like to work hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just hope that there'll be more opportunities and things coming forward with the teaching side of it. That's really where I want to focus my time for this year.
And there's no doubt you'll be successful, because you've proven with every aspect of your life, you do the research, you do the time, you make sure that it's perfected before you execute. And so we know it's going to be so much more fun, even just watching you rise even more and sharing your knowledge. So I can't thank you enough for that.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So Sue's like, OMG, that is what airplane mode means. So
Oh,
I could use
you know
that
what,
at night. I take my phone and of course I have a Samsung. I can scroll from the top, and I take the volume button and I turn it completely off. There's no vibration. It turns all the notifications off, but I can still use it as my alarm clock. And then in the notification setting, I can put in there to not allow any notifications to come through until my alarm goes off. The funny thing is when
that's
my
good.
alarm goes off in the morning, and if I forgot to turn it down, my husband and I laugh about this. My alarm will go off, and all of a sudden, ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, oh, going to be a busy morning. But yes, Sue, airplane mode. Give it a try.
Yes, it will change your life.
Yeah. Wendy says she's opening her own salon this year, and she wants to know if you have any advice.
Oh, advice. Oh,
Well, let's pick one part of that.
yeah.
So you're opening your own salon. Are you going to bring in techs, or are you going to be a solo tech? Because that's, a big difference in there. If you're going to bring in other techs, go watch the coffee talk that Kim and Becky and I did yesterday, because it's going to talk about, should they come in on a commission or should they come in on a booth rent or an hourly? So that's one thing to help. And then the contract, I put a picture of the contract that I have. What do you think? What else would be the first steps?
It's hard to kind of put it into do you know what I mean? There's so much involved. So I don't know whether, is it like a high street salon or something, but definitely get family and friends involved. So get them wearing your work wherever possible. Definitely for me, when I started, we changed location last year. So we were in a high street salon for 2 years. Previous to that, we were in like a private by appointment location. And we've actually gone back to that kind of a situation. So we're now back in a location where we don't have a shop front. And we only do appointment only, we don't do walk-ins or anything. And so for us, word of mouth is massive. And I think even if you've got a high street position, word of mouth is such a key thing, because most of the time, if somebody's trying to find a service of any kind, they're going to ask their friends, they're going to ask their family, or if you see somebody's nails when you're at the supermarket or in a shop somewhere and you ask them where they've had it done, you'll remember that name and then bear that in mind for future services. So just get as many people as you know wearing your work. And once the customers are coming, then getting them booked back in. before they leave is a massive thing, because if you let them go before they've rebooked an appointment, they're less likely to come back. So definitely get them rebooking in, whether it's an incentive on their first appointment that they rebook, if they rebook with you before they leave, so like a 10% discount or something like that. I definitely find that that helps. Refer a friend schemes, things like that. And if you are taking on staff, my big advice would be pick the right people that fit in with you. Not necessarily that they've got the skills perfectly when they start, but pick the people that fit in with your personality and with your goals of your business as well. Because the skills you can teach them, but that personality thing, it's either there or it isn't. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I've told an open mind, you can always teach the skills, but you cannot teach
Yeah,
the attitude.
no.
To add to that, for instance, like what you said, when you go into the grocery store and somebody says, "Where do you get your nails done?" and they remember the name. We are a social media world, and so we are going to check that name. So
Yeah,
have a profile of your work, your portfolio, either on Instagram or on Facebook. Have it to where when they search your name, something will come up and they can see your work. It's free. It's important for us to have that portfolio of work. And that's going to be their make it or break it sometimes. If they see that you're not out there and they've only saw one person, they might not. But if they saw one person, they checked your name, and now they can see hundreds of your pictures, they're like, I need that. And so make sure that you have your social medias up to date as well.
especially Facebook and Instagram, because a lot of people search on there from their location, and it brings up the businesses around them that are closest. So even if you maybe never met that person and they don't know of anybody that have had their nails done with you, if they're searching on one of those social medias, which a lot of, especially the younger the younger ones now, they use that often more than Google search. So yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I would add, you're going to have to train your clients when they're bragging about you. So for instance, my business name is Perfect 10, but people are going to say, I go to Amy Masters to get my nails done. Well, if
Yeah,
they Google Amy Masters, is my business page linked to my personal page? If not, they're not going to find your business page because there's no
no,
linkage there. So make sure that all of that's together too. Or train your clients to say, I go to Perfect 10, because
yeah.
then they'll search Perfect 10 because that's what they remember. Yeah. So Grace wants to know, are you going to do any competitions this year?
So with the education side of it, I am not 100% sure at the minute. So there was competition in February. I didn't manage to compete there because it was at the trade show. A lot of I don't know whether it's the same in other countries, but for us, our championships are generally at the trade shows. So if you're working on the stand, then you're not able to compete. So I was on the stand at the most recent show because it was the first one for LE with the new distributor, and Jim and Leslie came as well, so that was really good. The next one is in Birmingham in May, which I would love to do, but I'm already looking at my diary thinking that I know there's things that they want me for the new training classes, so I don't know if I will get to that one. But Scratch Stars, hopefully, I'd really like to be invited back to compete in that. So I've done my online application and we will leave it to them to decide. And then the second half of the year, I have no idea. It all depends how it all goes this first half of the year with all the training, and then we'll go from there, because the next ones are September, October time. So if the time is there, I would love to do more competing, but I really feel like I need to concentrate. My primary focus is on the education and the training for this year.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So I've done some online competitions like with Nails and Nail Pro and all of that, but I'm actually going to compete in Utah this year. Kim and they have a new competition there, and it's the tag team. So like one person
Okay,
starts it and then your teammate. And so anyways, we're going to give it a try. So I figured it was
that
fun.
sounds fun.
We're going to try that. Kristen says, hello, ladies. Do you have a favorite type of nail style that you prefer to do? And also, do you have tips on marble nails? I struggle with that on my clients and always wanting marble. I have a video of marbling I can share. And I think on your YouTube, I'm pretty sure I saw a marbling one on there.
And I think I've got another one coming soon as well because you've got kind of the traditional marble that looks like marble. But I also posted a picture a little while ago of more of like a marbleized, so it was the colours kind of marbleized together. And I've done the video; it just needs to be edited and put up, so that will go up as well.
Okay.
Favorite nail style, again, anything sparkly, blingy is totally my game. I do like the longer length nails, and I do love the ballerina shape at the minute. So yeah, my favorite would be ballerina and blingy.
Yeah, love it, love it. All right, so um, guys, I apologize if I missed anything, but I think that was all of the questions, and we've been on for almost an hour, and you are definitely one that I could talk to all day, every day. And so, Jojo, I can't thank you enough. It was a pleasure and a delight to be able to hang out with you in January. I look forward to being able to meet up with you more in the future, which I think is going to happen. And so, um, I can't thank you enough for, sharing your time, but your true dedication to ongoing education and helping out other techs is phenomenal. And everything that you have to share, just if you guys need that light bulb moment, maybe something's not triggering. The way Jo teaches, I think she would give you that light bulb moment. So follow her social medias. Of course, in the comments, we will put all the links to your social medias. And if you're watching this on replay, one of the things that we learned that you have to do is tag our name in it, so it will notify us that you have a question. If not, it just goes through that, all these people made a comment. So if you have an actual question, please tag our name, and we can get back to you on that as well.
Thank you so much for asking me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, thanks for sharing what's coming in the future. We look forward to watching more and more of what you have going on. And thanks for just opening up about your personal side and all of that. So I appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Next week, Tech Talk, I have it already posted. We have, I believe it's Dana Lynn Stockwood, who not only is a tech, a salon owner, and all of that, but she actually creates many events over here in the U.S. and trade shows and all of that, and all the work that goes in behind it. So we get to talk to Dana Lynn about behind the scenes, what it's like to put on a show, and so just all the work that it takes from everybody involved. And as you well know, going to the shows, setting up the booth, being the educator, and being active all day, and then taking
Yeah.
down the booth. And by the time you get back to the room, you're just exhausted. So, yeah. All right. Well, Jojo, thank you again. Thank you, Tech Talk Worldwide. I love our group, and thanks for always being active and joining in on our chats.
Thank you.
Have a good day.